Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It's Tuesday, it's February 16th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And I forgot to mention last Thursday that Monday was President's Day, so there was no trading yesterday. The market was only open, for till noon or whatever. So, and I generally don't trade those days. So, apologize that I forgot to mention it, but I'm sure everybody realized what was going on when there was no chart lesson and no midday chart or whatever on the website either. So, apologize for forgetting about it, but I just totally slipped my mind. But I generally take those days off, so there won't be a chart lesson or a midday chart on those days generally. So sometimes I'll still come in and maybe do a midday chart, but it's really not worth it because the market's going to close in an hour or so anyway. And it's always my opinion that you're just doesn't mean there won't be any movement that day. But to me, it's not worth getting trapped in a trade and then having to force yourself out because not much happens. It was all uphill, you can see yesterday, but not much. Maybe one or two entries here. Really, there weren't even that. Um, so actually, that's I take that back. That's Sunday. Is that right? No, that's right. That's yesterday. So there just wasn't anything in there. It just wasn't worth fiddling with. So, um, but anyway, let's back out and talk about today. So, uh, hope you understand why no chart lesson. So, but today was just mostly another range day. The lows were around 1870, and we're finding strong resistance around 1890. We're trying to get back through that 1900 level, but we just can't seem to get through there. Seems like. But we had a nice trend down and then a nice trend back up, and it just went sideways from there. So, but you can see somebody else sent me their chart, and they had their trend line drawn a little steeper here, and I think that probably is okay. I like the way it fits better here. You can see it's fitting nicely on the lows, on the highs, and you can see the midline is bouncing nicely along that midline. So and that gives you your first break here. The way he drew his, you got a break here and a new low, where here you don't get a break until a new low till here. I don't think it much matters. You don't have to be exact. You got to be close, but you don't have to be exact. This is more sideways right in here, to be honest, either way. And another thing he did, he measured, just in case he's watching, I want to show him this. You always want to look for your measured move. Your measured move should be measured from the high to the low of the move, and then this is your correction in the middle. And so you should have been looking for a measured move down to here. And when you come up way short like this, um, actually it's telling you something when you come up short here. Notice you got the break. You come up way short here, so you're already losing steam. And because you should have come to the other side before you go back to this side. Notice you do get your break, you push lower and get your new low. And so when you don't make this low, that means you're usually going to rally much harder in the other direction and go, have a pretty good move in the other direction. And you can see that's exactly what happened. So that's the only thing that really tells you there. You don't make that measured move and you get a nice rally. But it's not completely unexpected either because you got your break of your trend line and your new low. And generally that leads. Sometimes you'll get another move down, but you really get a break in two measured legs here. So um, I would measure that leg and then look for the next measured leg. And you can see we basically got almost a perfect measured move there. So then it rallies. And so that's exactly what you're looking for. So that's how I measure mine. I could see why you might choose there because that's really where the downtrend starts. But to get the whole leg, you really need to measure that whole thing. And then that's where it's your midpoint right there. And so you're looking for one down to here. So that's how I measure that. Um, Also, one other thing, notice you got you got a real short-term channel right there and a break and a new low, but you got this channel working down as well. And so that's the reason I didn't necessarily like a long down here off these lows. Um, Between there and the EM, it is a good distance, but you hit this trend line before you get back, so I didn't like that. And that's definitely a short-term channel working down there. And you get a break and a new low on it as well. So uh, just something to throw out there because somebody asked me about it. But there's not a lot of trades today either, so it's not going to take long to do this chart lesson. But let's talk about the trades. When I came in, first trade I saw, we're working down, and notice you get this double bottom, really almost a triple bottom, and we get a failed break lower right there after the 7 o'clock hour. I like going long. That's a nice reversal bar. Look how far away you are from the EMA. I like those, and you get a runner here, so you can ride that runner all the way up until you get the break. So I would have exited right in here. So that sets the tone for the day. You get a nice trade and a runner, and that's a good thing. There's not a lot of entries today, but just about every one of them had a nice runner. A couple of them would have ran for multiple points. So, but anyway, we bounce here. We just kind of go sideways. We're working back, and this, when we get right here, this confirms this trend line, sets it up perfect. Notice too, you got all these matching highs, and you get this little failed break lower right there at the trend line as well, and it turns down. And this really needs to be your signal bar here. Your stop would have to go above this, the high of the swing. But this is the signal bar that kind of sets this up. I really thought we might get one here. It broke higher and then turned, but it never broke lower. So what I like doing was waiting on this one, and when it broke lower, you really could put a stop right there because that's confirming that trend line. You're getting a big bearish bar, but you might let it break lower and put you a stop back where, or put you a limit order back where you would have gotten filled originally. You may have missed this trade though if you did that. You probably could have gotten filled a tick or so back into the red bar, but let me make this bigger. I'm sorry. So you might have gotten filled a tick back into this bar, but I don't think you could have gotten filled all the way back up here where the stop would have been on that bar. And this is not a good enough signal bar. So if it would have broke higher and turned and went out the other side, I would have liked it, but it didn't. So you got to wait on this one. And sometimes you can't wait on the next bar, but in this case, it's right off the trend line. It's a key entry point. It's off the resistance here. There's several different reasons to like this trade, and so I like it. And you would have caught a runner here, and you could have ridden this one all the way down. So nice trade there. Then you just kind of had to be patient. There's a second entry short here, counting off this high, and you might have thought about treating this like a failed second entry long. Notice you're working down first entry, pull back second entry, but this really doesn't fail, and that's just a really bullish bar. It is, and you don't really have this trend line yet. This just sets it, so you never really get a chance to trade this trend line. I just don't see a good rate, at least on my chart. Now you might have a better setup on yours, and if you do, maybe you could get in there. But my chart, no, I don't like that one. So you just have to watch that one. But of course, you would have had a runner going here, and you might have held that since everything's still below the EMA and everything's still working lower. But we get a bounce here, and again, we already talked about this. This trader went long here. There may be enough room to get out. There probably is before that at the midline and coming back to this trend line. So, there's some reasons to consider that. Notice it's a failed break lower below those little double bottom matching lows there. So, you know what? I'm willing to give that a green one. It looked a lot better on his chart than it does mine, but it's probably still, if you want to be aggressive, because there's enough room to get out there before you get back to the EMA. Actually, there's plenty of room to get out before you get back to the EMA. That wasn't what I meant to say there. It's plenty of room to get out. What you got to worry about is that trend line and this midline, and there's enough room to get out before you get back there. Notice it goes right to both of those and then stalls for a minute before it pushes on through. So then we're working back to the upper side. We do get a break here, but there's a nice little trap. Notice what happens. You get this matching high double top, and it breaks higher, fails, and turns down. I had a stop here waiting to go on through, but it didn't push on through, so just move it over to under this one, and it drops through there. And notice you got this little trend line working up a break, move to a new high, and then it You get that little trap up there above that double top, and it turns down. And also, this really could be treated as a second entry on a bigger picture. Notice this new low, pull back, first entry, pull back, and there's like two legs in this side, but on a bigger picture, that's still a second entry. I don't want to complicate it, so don't put a whole lot. If that doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. That's a little bit more advanced, but you could look at it like that. Um, and then we push down, we pull back. Look how we shoot right through the EMA, pull back. Um, Fairly bearish bar there, just go short, and you're looking for a measured move down. You're looking for a new low, and you're looking for a measured move down, hopefully. Doesn't mean you'll get it, but there's your first leg, and then you're looking for a measured move, and you can see that. We might have missed it by a tick, but that's close enough. And then guess what? We bounce there. I don't like the setup here. There's a little trap, but by the time you get this bar, it's fairly large, and you're right into the EMA, so I don't like it. So wait and see if you get that failed second entry short, and you do right there. And so I like going long there. It's still a little closer to the EMA, but now you got a trap. You got it doesn't shoot through the EMA, but you got everything in place that you're probably going to reverse. So I like that one. And there's just enough room. And we're coming off the midline, so we're probably coming back to here, even if we're going to push lower again. So I like that one. And then, of course, what does it do? It pulls back. And this is a double bottom, so you can treat this like a first entry, pull back, second entry. And that's definitely your reversal pattern now. And you're above the EMA, so I really like that one. And if you'd have caught either one of these, your runners are safe, and you can ride this. You don't really get a chance here, at least not on my chart. It didn't break lower. If it broke lower here, right off that trend line, and you get a bullish bar, I might like going long again there, but I don't think it's too risky on my chart. Plus, you've already got a couple of runners going here, hopefully. And then pull back first entry, pull back. This is two legs back to the EMA. Nice bullish bar right there. It's kind of big, so you rather large. You might let it break higher and drop a limit order, and you would have gotten filled a couple of ticks back into this, and then it goes higher, and again you get a runner here. Goes higher, and then it pulls back right to the EMA. You don't get a second entry on this one. There's a hidden one in there, but notice what it does. It comes back, and you got this double bottom support here, really a triple bottom, and it breaks lower, and you get this little bitty bar right at that trend line. And you know, if you played with your trend line, it's probably right off of it. You can see that it really is right off of it. And it's just a real small bar, so that's a real low risk. It's worth taking a chance on that one, in my opinion. And it turns out to be a nice, quick, easy move. You do get a second entry here, but it's not a real bullish bar. It's more neutral. It's right into the resistance. You don't want to go long, right? Because you see what happens. It triggers, and it goes right to that resistance, and it turns down. But notice you get a new high here. It's higher than this one, so pull back first entry, pull back second entry. So you get a nice second entry long there. It's the first break of this trend line. Now you got enough room to scalp out here above that resistance, and you can see what happens. It pushes up. It's tempting to go short right there when that fails, but you never know that it hits that EMA and goes higher again, because this has been all uphill. And another thing you would have wanted to do, just in case, was measure your first leg and look, just in case we go higher, that's going to be your target, and we don't ever get anywhere because we can't get through that resistance, so we never really get that close. But you definitely want to be considering that, and you got a long way to go to that from here, so you got to be real careful getting short too early. I would have considered this one, except you're right into the support. There's enough room between this line, but at this point you've bounced right across here some, so you probably have moved that. You should have had that moved up, and you can see there how we bounced every time right there. So it's real, and we tried to bounce even though it went lower, so you can't risk that right there. Just wait and see if you get a better chance. And guess what? It breaks out the low side, fails. And this is what I really like, is you get this nice bullish setup, and it ends up going lower and turning and coming right out the top side. Just have your stop waiting there ready, and it takes off like a rocket. They obviously trapped a lot of people short. Look how that thing shot up real fast. And that's what a trap will do. It fools people. And most people want to wait, and I always warn people, don't go short right into the low of a move. And that's 2 legs down, and that's the very low of the move. And you can't go short there, because what happens is it traps you and bounces. Sometimes it'll work, but most times it won't. You can see we already had a measured move in there. And so I like that to go long. And it's a nice, easy long, and it moves real fast because it's a great short trap, and it fooled a lot of people. And that's the thing. People will send me their charts a lot, and they'll say, this trap, and why didn't this trap work? Well, the idea behind a trap is it has to fool a lot of people. And so if you see it, consider, especially if you're not really skilled at price action yet, if you see it, then, consider, hey, am I getting trapped, or am I really that good? You got to ask yourself that. Then don't lie to yourself, because you'll pay dearly if you do. So, but the idea behind a trap is it fools people and traps them on the wrong side, and then it reverses real quickly and goes in the other way. And you generally know if it was a good trap by how fast it rockets back off in the other direction. And look how fast, look at that one bullish bar. That's because all these people that got short here suddenly started exiting. And they had to get out before, because you don't know that it starts going higher. We don't get the rest of that measured leg. It didn't happen because we end up stuck in this range because there's just too much resistance right there. There's too much selling coming in right there. It may take a while to get through there. So keep that in mind, and just remember that about traps. It's not really a trap unless it fools a lot of people. And this was a short trap right here. It fooled a lot of people. Notice how it rocketed out of there and got a break of the trend line. But at this point, you don't really want to be going long in a big downtrend because there's been no break yet. So, and this one probably fooled a lot of people to the long side, because look how bearish that is turning down and how quick it fell. So just remember that a trap is only a trap if it fools a lot of people. If it's not fooling anybody, it doesn't matter whether it's a failed second entry long or a failed second entry short. People start trying to get too caught up in failed second entries too quickly. They don't quite understand second entries, and I understand, because failed second entries I show a lot of, and they work so well. But you need to be really skilled at finding the second entries first, and then start worrying about. But once you really have a true understanding of a second entry and where a good failed second entry comes in, you won't have to ask if it was one, and you'll know. In other words, is what I'm trying to say. It won't be. Once you understand second entries, failed second entries will be easy. But what happens is people don't quite understand what a second entry is yet, and they start trying to figure out failed second entries, and they just get all confused and out of whack. And just don't do that. Concentrate on the second entries. Once you got them down, you'll understand the failed second entry, long or short. And they are, when they create a trap, they are some very good patterns. So, but anyway, that's about it for today. Again, not as many trades, but there's runners here, runners here, runners here, runners here on the way down, runners here on the way down, runners here on the way down. You only had to get one or two with a runner today, and you made some really good money. So you didn't need a lot of trades today. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. This is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.